Chorus Civic is disabling children in ICE custody and getting paid to do it. The abuse is so severe that the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is the leading body representing pediatricians in this country, has explicitly called for the closure of ICE camps like Dilley. They have made it clear that the conditions in these facilities are harmful to children's physical and mental health. Mental health experts who have visited people in ICE custody, like teen Olivia Andre, have diagnosed them with PTSD. They're even charging $39 for a bottle of clean water, knowing parents will buy it for their children so that they don't get sick off of the foul water. This is a mass disabling event happening on U.S. soil. Pediatricians have actually said that if they had encountered children in the same conditions in someone's home or in the ER, they would report it to the Child Protective Services. Corporations are literally profiting from committing eugenics and abusing children.
The Trump administration just officially classified transgender people and anti-fascists as top national security threats in the same category as ISIS and drug cartels. This was in a counterterrorism strategy document Trump signed this week. CBS News and the AP covered it as a story about drug cartels. Midas Touch actually read it. So did I. And I need to talk about it. The document explicitly lists left-wing extremists, people with radically pro-transgender ideologies, and anti-fascists alongside ISIS as threats requiring the full counterterrorism apparatus of the United States government, including surveillance, including mapping domestic groups and identifying their members. Your government is now officially treating trans people and people who oppose fascism as terrorists. Let that land. Quick note on Antifa. It's not actually a group. It's not an organization. It has no membership, no leadership, no headquarters. Antifa is short for anti-fascists. It is an adjective. Being anti-fascist is literally what every Allied soldier in World War II was. It's what your grandfather was if he stormed the beaches at Normandy. The United States government just listed opposition to fascism as a terrorism threat alongside ISIS in 2026 in America. Now let's talk about who's not on the terrorism list. The 1,600 people who beat police officers and stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Pardoned. The Proud Boys and Oath Keepers leaders who planned the attack. Their seditious conspiracy convictions were vacated. The president called them hostages, warriors, and January 6th a beautiful day. Those people are free. Trans people are on the terrorism list. People who oppose fascism are on the terrorism list. Are you fecking kidding me? Now, you might be thinking, okay, they put trans people on the list. That's alarming, but what can they actually do about it? Great question! Congress just extended Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act for another 45 days without any reforms. Section 702 lets the government collect your emails, texts, and phone calls without a warrant, technically targeting foreigners, but it sweeps up Americans too. And we know this because the FBI has already used it to conduct warrantless searches of Black Lives Matter protesters, government officials, journalists, and 19,000 donors to a single congressional campaign. So just to be clear about where we are, the government has officially labeled trans people and Antifa as terrorists, and Congress just renewed the law that lets them read your messages without asking a judge first. These are not unrelated developments, and the mainstream press missed it completely. They saw drug cartels in the headline and stopped reading, which is exactly what the administration was counting on. The link to the full document is in the description and comments. Read it for yourself and share this video, because if people knew the government just put trans Americans on a terrorism watch list in the same breath as ISIS, they'd be a lot angrier than they are right now.
As a certified human rights consultant certified by the U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights, when it comes to Trump's kill order, effectively, I will reiterate, yes, if you've ever been pro-transgender or pro-immigration, speaking out against human rights abuses that the Trump administration has orchestrated against innocent civilians and U.S. citizens alike, not discounting the ethnic cleansing which is being carried out by the Trump administration, which is correctly ruled by the UN as ethnic cleansing. You are now considered a domestic terrorist by the Trump administration, effectively 0507/2026, and Trump has a kill order on you, as he himself has said, "We will find you and we will kill you," Donald J. Trump. Again, this is official government policy. If the government hasn't said they will kill you, well, I hope you never have to experience this. How am I supposed to process this? How am I supposed to be just like, oh, this is a cool show coming out. How can I drive my car now knowing any vehicle could be enforcement coming behind me? I honestly can't put into words how this fucking feels. Is by Dr. Kristina Rizzotto, and I do apologize for cursing there. So again, with these human rights violations that are effectively happening, so Article 3, the right to human life. So again, Article 3, everyone has a right to life, liberty, and security of person, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 3 is the right to life, the right to the individual not to have their life taken away from them, especially by the state/personal sanctioned execution/murder of unarmed civilians, regardless if they are American citizens or not. As a certified human rights consultant, I will reiterate this, that the life and the right to life is a protected principle according to international law. The administration here in the USA cannot be trusted with human life, with this in no regard to the life of the civilian. Report the Trump administration, UN's Office of High Commissioner of the Human Rights Council. Okay, so they've also violating Article 5 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. No one shall be subject to torture or to cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment or punishment. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Again, cruel intentions towards children, principal separation of families, the psychological torture, and Trump's mass deportation programs here violation of Article 5 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. No one shall be subject to torture or to cruel, to inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In Trump's signed NSM 17 law, torture and psychological torture of American citizens and civilians who speak out against administration's actions again, while signed into law by Trump's kill order, is on the books technically. Torture, including psychological torture, is against the Geneva Convention and breaking international law. So war crimes and crimes against humanity is this NSM 17 by default. And of course, Article 9, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. No one shall be subject to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile, aka no one shall be arbitrarily arrested on trumped-up charges, detained without due process, which the Trump administration is doing, by the way. Again, no due process, especially for American civilians, regardless if they're citizens or not. So again, and of course, Trump is enacted the execution by firing squad, so again, arbitrarily arrested, put up on trumped-up charges, and executed, effectively. And of course, mind you, so arbitrarily arrested, detained without due process, or deported, or worse. So what is state-sponsored murder, and why is the right to life a protected human right? The question of what is state-sponsored murder and the right to life is warranted. What is state-sponsored murder? A death constitutes democide if the intentional killing of an unarmed or disarmed person by government agents acting in their authoritative capacity and pursuant to government policy or high command, as in the Nazi gassing the Jews. It is also democide if these deaths were the result of authoritative government actions carried out with reckless and wanton disregard for the lives of those affected, as putting people in concentration camps in which forced labor and starvation rations were such a cause of the death of the inmates. It is democide if the government promoted or turned a blind eye to these deaths, even though they were murders carried out unofficially or by private groups, as by death squads in Guatemala or El Salvador. And these deaths also may be democide if the high government officials purposely allowed conditions to continue that were causing mass deaths and issued no public warning, as in the Ethiopian famines of the 1970s. All extrajudicial or summary executions comprise democide. Every judicial execution may be democide, as in the Soviet show trials of the late 1930s. Judicial execution for crimes internationally considered trivial or non-capital, as of peasants picking up grain on the edge of collective fields, of a worker for telling an anti-government joke, or of an engineer for a miscalculation, is also democide. I have found that the vast majority of events and episodes democide is unambiguous. When under the command of high authority, soldiers forced villagers into fields and then machine-gunned them, there should be no question about definition. When a group armed by the government for this purpose turned the teachers and students out in the field, lined them up line up those of a particular tribe and shoot them.